Coming to paperback and e-readers, ISIS Dark Ink.
Okay, yeah, I'm here. I just now turned on
ISIS
my
Adventure.
soundboard.
Pre-order your copy of ISIS Dark Incubus at Amazon.com and other online booksellers everywhere. Coming.
Can you hear me? Sean, can you hear me?
Okay.
Sean, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I just turned on the soundboard, so you're gonna hear a little buzzing for a minute. Can we wait a few minutes before you go on the air, or we're on?
I'm on the air right now. I'm gonna do an intro and everything, and I'll come on.
Okay, all right, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's live stream. I am going to get started in a moment. I just need to let everybody on social media know that the stream is currently on the air. Okay, now that everybody knows that the stream is currently on the air, I'm going to get into a quick introduction. And I want to give everybody a progress report on the SJS Direct 2024 catalog. Now, all of the books for the SJS Direct 2024 catalog are uploaded to KDP right now, and they are all ready for pre order on Kindle. So you can pick up John Haynes' Illuminati, ISIS Dark Incubus, and Esteem Horror in the Hamptons right now if you pre-order on Amazon.com, and you'll be able to get all of those books when they release, with John Haynes' Illuminati being the first to drop on March 22nd. ISIS Dark Incubus will drop on April 26th, and Esteem Horror in the Hamptons will drop on May 24th. And you can get all three of those books right now in pre-order on Amazon.com. And if you want to wait for the paperback, you can wait on those dates of March 22nd, April 26th, and May 24th. You'll be able to get all those books in order, and it won't be too hard on your wallet. And in addition to that, I've got the John Haynes comic, John Haynes at Death Store, which is available on Lulu.com by clicking the link in the description box. And right now, I'm getting ready to go try to find a way to get this book, John Haynes at Death Store, on Amazon for all those who want to get the comic version. I finally learned how to lay out pictures on Amazon, so I'm hoping to get a paperback version over on Amazon if that's your preference. So that's the progress report for the SJS Direct 2024 catalog. And I want everybody to know that it's Black History Month, and I'm having a slow sales month. Only sold 2 books this entire month. So if brothers and sisters could come out and pick up some SJS Direct books, that would be greatly appreciated. Now, with all that said and done, I'm going to get into tonight's topic. And this is a topic that Mr. Chris from Mr. Chris and Company came to me with, and it's called code switching. Now, code switching, as he told me, is where Black people feel like they can't be themselves at work. And a lot of Black people, what they do because they want to fit into a white corporate environment is they think that they don't have to do things that are quote unquote Black. So you'll have a lot of Black people who will go out here and they believe that they have to do things like modify their voice or modify their tone or do things like go out here and change their hair. This is what people do in order to quote unquote code switch so that they feel like they have to be acceptable to white people at work. And this whole situation, it can really do a lot of damage to black people's whole mental health. And I know about that from personal experience because I've had personal experience with that whole situation in the workplace. And I can tell you that there are people who just are uncomfortable with the whole idea of a black person just being a black person. I mean, I ran into this at a law firm job that I had in 2002 for 2 weeks. And in that job, this lawyers, they just were extremely uncomfortable with the whole idea of a black man sitting at their reception desk and answering their phone calls. Now, a receptionist is the face of the company. And as the face of the company, the receptionist is somebody who represents the business. And these Jewish individuals, they were extremely uncomfortable with the idea of a straight black man being at the front of their desk. And this thing really affected me because this guy was constantly complaining about the sound of my voice and talking about how I was being hostile. And I was just using my regular voice like I'm talking to you right now. But this was offensive to people on the phone. Many of these white and non black clients, some of them were foreign, they were upset about the whole idea of a black man just speaking and being himself. And I also ran into this at the City College of New York when I was working at their science library. I had one time this professor who was upset because I had a flat top hairstyle talking about I should do something about my hair. Now I brushed this guy off because I wasn't going to change who I was. But the whole idea is that these guys, they expect black people to go out here and fit into their world, but don't want us to be who we are. And I'm really glad that Mr. Chris from Chris and Company came to me with this whole suggestion about this topic, because I know there's a lot of brothers and sisters who are dealing with this at work. And it's a really frustrating thing because you feel like you're under pressure all the time at work. So Mr. Chris came to me with this topic, and I'm glad that he's here to talk about it. What's going on, Mr. Chris? How are you?
I'm absolutely fabulous, Mr. James. And, you know, back, we're here back at it again, collaborating. I always have a good time coming here and talking with you. So yes, I'm great. I do want to tell you that I did now, not this past Chris and Company Wednesday, but the Wednesday before last, the February 7th episode of Chris and Company. You can go check that out in the archives. I came across a story about code switching and how black employees are having a hard time adjusting with that, with code switching. And basically code switching is when you're not able to be yourself in the office. And we're not a monolith when it comes to black folks. So not all of us act the same. Not all of us be like, yo, what up, cuz? What up, Holmes? It just a simple, hello, how you doing, right? Just like if I would have met Sean on the street, I wouldn't have been like, what up, cuz? What up, Holmes? I'd have been like, hey, how you doing? You know, Chris Bennett, how are you? Well, anyway, sometimes, well, not sometimes. A lot of times, black workers, mainly in the office, not so much in construction or working in a plant or something like that, but mainly black men and women that work in an office come across a lot of problems when they are communicating with their white coworkers and bosses, because for the simple fact that they really don't want them there. That's number one. Number two, they know that there's a thin line. The bosses don't want to get in trouble if they're discriminating against a particular black employee. So what happens is, Chris, you need to dress better. You need to do something with your hair. The way you talk. People are having problems with how you're talking in the office, right? So it's like, well, do you want me to talk like this? Well, hey, my name is Chris Bennett. How are you? It's and if that's not who you are, they'll use that again. If that's not who you are, they will use that against you. And so um, I juxtapose that into reparations. I'm not going to do that just yet. But what the reason why code switching is not talked about more than what it is because it's a very layered issue that comes at us black employees in so many different ways that a 2 hour broadcast wouldn't cover it all. So we're in a kind of situation. I'm trying to simplify it in a sense that uh, code switching is being told how to walk, how to talk, how to dress when you are in a majority white corporate environment.
Yeah, that's what I ran into. I mean, it's like they get upset when they hear that what they call the bass in your voice. I talk about that in my novel, The Temptation of John Hayes, where he makes a joke saying, basically, I have too much bass in my voice because these black, even some of these black elite types, they get upset at the idea of a black person being themselves. So what they want you to do is just fit into this box and this ideal where you just look what they call non-threatening, sort of like a Carlton Banks or something like that.
Right. And then also what happens is a lot of code switching leads to a lot of resentment amongst us black folks where you see a black supervisor, let's say you're working in a Fortune 500 company. Your supervisor is black, but they'll 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 talk down to earth to you, but when they get up in other management faces, when they're dealing with bosses and executives, they totally act a totally different way. And hey, how's it going today? They're saying that to those particular black bosses are saying that to the white executives. But then when it comes to you, hey man, this is what you need to do. You're like, whoa, whoa,
Yeah, I've
what
witnessed that
what's all
I
this?
witnessed that over 25 years ago when I was working in Strive, and it was like a shocking thing to me back then. It's like they were black and Puerto Rican workers, and they would be sitting there, they would talk to me like no problem. But the minute white folks come in the room, all of a sudden their whole body language change, their voices change, and their whole demeanor changes. They just like it's like two different people. It's like dealing with two different people in the room.
Exactly. By the time I turned 30, I realized that I was not going to portray something that I wasn't. The way I'm talking to you now is the way that I've talked to all white people, whether it's on the job or whether it's at the grocery store. And I keep it. I've got a mid tenor type of voice. No, not a whole lot of bass and baritone. It can get there when provoked, but outside of that, really not not that baritone, Barry White style.
Yeah.
And I realized that when I was 30, when I was 30 years old, which was 23 years ago, that I knew that I had to have a plan because I know I wasn't going to make it in corporate America. It just wasn't going to happen. Um, I had work jobs where I did nothing wrong. Came to work on time, did my job, got called into the human resources office. Well, Chris, we regret to inform you that it didn't work out. Well, what did I do wrong? Well, you didn't violate any policies. Well, yeah, okay, great. Why am I not here as a permanent employee now? Well, it just your boss just didn't think it was a good fit, and then I'll go into more detail. So when he say good fit, what kind of fit? Well, we really don't have to go into that because this was your probationary period. All right. And so shit like that. So probationary period. I know Ohio, I know states like Ohio and Arizona are at will states. If you're not familiar with at will state, that means that your employer has the right and has protections under the state government. They can fire you for absolutely nothing. Just and they can hide behind it. So if your boss doesn't like you personally for whatever reason, I don't know, because they have their intelligence is the equivalent of a vagina, then yeah, they could turn around and they can fire you for absolutely nothing. And so I realized that I had to have a plan above and beyond this crap, or I was going to find myself going through this cycle, and it's not going to end well. And so thank God I got my retirement. Thank goodness I am retirement. I'm glad that I served in the United States Marine Corps and I don't have to deal with that bullshit no more personally. Now, when it comes to everybody else, I know that there are a lot of people that are not in my position, and that one of the reasons why we're talking about code switching tonight, it ties into Fannie Lewis. I mean, excuse me, it ties into Fannie Willis as well. We're going to get to that where where when we see other black people in the office, we expect them to be themselves. I expect to be myself. We expect them to be themselves. And when we see them, when they talk towards white people or non-black folks, and we see them uh, talking different and towards them, the first thing we do is we call them coons. And and sometimes it can be a little unfair because that person may just know how to play the game or code switch better than I do. At the same time, though, I when I come across a black person and we are working in a majority white environment, I expect that person to be themselves because I'm going to be myself. And I can respect that person more when they are themselves, when they're whether they're talking around white people or not. And so I didn't make a whole lot of friends in the work world, and I'm glad that I didn't, because at the very end of the day, you have your dignity, you have your self-respect, and guess what? That affects your legacy. And I rather my legacy be a man that gave respect, was a respecter to people, but he also commanded and demanded respect. That's why my peers, that's why my collaborators, that's why my colleagues call me Mr. Chris. It's because of how I carry myself and the company that I keep. Those things are very, very important when you're talking about your legacy. Now, once again, I am retired. So my situation is different than a lot of brothers and sisters out there that still have to punch the clock every day. But keep in mind, though, when you work in these environments, never lose yourself, never forget who you are. And if you are in an environment where you can't be yourself, that that's pretty much an ominous sign that maybe you need to work somewhere else and go somewhere else, because you're not going to get the respect that you deserve and what you earn.
Yeah. I was on the flip side of that myself. I mean, I was on the flip side because I actually had to go through that vicious cycle at 26, 27, and 34. And I can tell you that it's really hard when you go through that vicious cycle with these code switchers and all of these other people. And you really feel like you're alone because you're trying to come into this business, you're trying to build a life for yourself, you're trying to get stuff started. And then all of a sudden, you get the rug yanked out from under you. I mean, you coming in, like when I came to work, I was coming in to work on time, doing the work well. People said the work was exceptional in a lot of cases, doing a good job, but they just want to get rid of you because they're uncomfortable about the idea of you being a black man that doesn't fit their ideals and doesn't fit their stereotypical narratives. And that can really, again, it's really, it wears you down. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the Most High telling me to keep going after I lost my job at City College. And I had my SJS Direct. I was doing it on the side, and then I managed to at least have something started as related to it. And that's how I was able to go on with things right now. But the whole thing is, you go on these jobs and you're thinking you can get things started, but then everything gets a start and stop vicious cycle. And the thing is that as you get older, you start realizing you're running out of time. That's really frustrating because it does wear
Mhm.
down on your mental health. It does wear down on you
Yes.
to the point where you feel like you have to be two people. It's like you have to have like a personality over here and a personality over there. And the thing is that I was never one of those guys who wanted to be switching personalities. I was like a guy who's just straightly being myself. And that makes a lot of the code switchers uncomfortable because they want to go out here and put on this persona. And these people, I've seen them when I was working with them. It was just eating them up on the inside. It was tearing them up on the inside as related to their mental health. I could see the stress in their faces. I could see the stress in their bodies and in their body language. I mean, they just were all tense. And some of these people, they get off on seeing black people all tense like that and scared like that
Mhm.
because what they want to do is see you begging for a job. They want to see you groveling and in fear. And that's not a way to live. I mean, that's not living when you're living in fear of your life basically being upheaved, all because some white dude is mad because the Starbucks didn't have enough espresso shots or they didn't have any bagels, everything bagels. He wants to take it out on you. You're just here doing your job and they just want to be comfortable. But the whole thing is like, why shouldn't you be comfortable? I mean, if they're hiring you to do a job, why can't you be comfortable and just be yourself?
Well, because that's too much like right. It's kind of like a level of social power, right?
Yeah.
You you have you have white people, and we know them where they've been told where you know you're going to be all right. You're special. You're going to do great and blah blah blah. Then they get out in the real world and they come across someone like you and I, and they already have this preconceived notion that they can talk at us and they can talk, they can talk any way to us. And then they get a reality check, right? And so then when they go up in front of the boss, when they have to report to the man, and then they get let go, ma- when they get let go, you see a lot of white employees turn into serial killers to start shooting up offices, shooting up companies, and all of that because they they were not well prepared for the real world. And so yeah, that's that's the dynamic that that's the dynamic that a lot of white workers deal with, and the dynamic where us black workers deal with. Not only we have to work twice as hard, do twice as much just to get an equal amount of play, but then we have to be something that we can't to make them feel uncomfortable, to make them feel comfortable. And I realized that I wasn't gonna make it. There's no way I was gonna. There's no way that I was gonna work 20 years at a job and get a gold watch and you know and ride off in the sunset. It just was not going to happen. So what do we do as black people working in white corporate businesses? I only thing I can say is be your go to work, be yourself as long as you can be yourself. And when it comes a time in the day that you can't, that's when you need to look into work, finding work elsewhere.
Yeah.
Because 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 when you come to work and you got a different hairstyle or you have a well put together body, and yes, I know a female. She was well put together, and
Yeah, I
she
have a
was
family member who deals with the same thing. Whenever you're a slim, attractive black woman, oh, the
mhm,
white women get mad because they want to see all the black women being big and obese because that makes them feel comfortable.
mhm,
So whenever they see a black woman who's like really in good and in shape, they really go after them as well. So I've seen that happen. I've had a family
mhm.
member deal with that. And that's another thing people don't want to talk about in shape black women and how they deal with stuff is same thing. And they don't want to talk about that at all. A lot of people don't want to talk about it, but I'll talk about it. But they don't like in shape black women. They don't like articulate, well spoken black, intelligent black men. They don't like heterosexual black men in general. So those are the people they don't like. And then when they, even if they come to work and do great work, we get nothing but a headache. And we just basically have to save our money and have a contingency plan as related to these jobs. That's why I came in. I was like, I need to have a side hustle going. I even said that even when I was gotten my first really good thing at AmeriCorps. I said I want to get stuff together for something on the side because I know how these jobs are and I know how petty some of these people are because a lot of these people are really petty. And the whole thing with the code switching and attacking black people like this is really petty because you got a qualified black person who's doing the job, but you just want to get rid of them for arbitrary reasons just because you want to have your what I call in the man crisis, and I got from this from Dr. Robert Glover, your smooth world where you don't have any conflicts, problems, or obstacles. And those obstacles and problems are just a black person being in your presence, not fitting the stereotypes or the narratives. They like their pookies, they like their alphabet black men, they like their hood rats, but they don't like regular black folks. And that's why you have, even though you do all the code switching, all the decent brothers and sisters, they just wind up putting themselves on a road to just driving themselves insane.
Well, there's a reason why. There's a reason why white bosses, supervisors love Pookie's, Ray Rays, and Shaniquas, and and Fannie Willis is also a Shaniqua. We're gonna get to her sorry ass in a little bit,
Yeah.
but there's a reason why, because they can control them. They can control them, and a Pookie and a Shaniqua, they'll do the dirty work for the racist white boss that they report to. They certainly will.
Yeah.
You and I, if we have a problem with our boss or supervisor, we're going to come with an intelligent approach. And they don't like that because that threatens their insecurity.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've seen it all the time. I'm like, seriously? Yeah, man, it be like this, dog. Huh? Seriously? In the office? Okay. And I've seen, oh, you're so funny. Ha 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 ha. You make me laugh, Roger. Yo, man. Yeah, I know I make you laugh, man, because that's what I do. And I've seen it.
Yep.
And then that same boss will come to me, and then he tightens up. He tightens up. Chris, do you have those reports? And I'd be like, yes, I do have those reports. There you go. Well, you make sure that you have your other stuff in time. I say, yeah. Are you making sure everybody else get their stuff in time? Why are you sitting around telling me? Well, that's not necessary. That wasn't called for, Chris. I've dealt with that foolishness.
Yeah, I've run
And
into it too.
so I I brought up code switching tonight is because it's if we have reparations, we would have the resources to not only start our own businesses, we can also create our own jobs, and we don't have to worry about dealing with the man to get
Yeah.
a check.
Or fitting into his world because we'd have our own money and we never, when you have your own money, you have your own standard.
Exactly. You have your own money, you have your own standard, you dictate on your terms how you're going to start your business or how you're going to create your own job. And so this is why a lot of people need to push, a lot of black folks need to really push for reparations hard, because with those resources, you're going to have a lot more black businesses open and available, and then you don't have to deal with that garbage. Now, my friend, I can't say his name for obvious reasons. He says, well, as a black business, I have to code switch. And I meant to tell him, you don't have to code switch. You just do it because you want white people's money. So think about that for a minute. I am a black owned business, and I'm going to code switch my own business to please white customers. You out your goddamn motherfucking head. I'm not doing that at all.
I mean, if you own the business and the people are coming to you, they know who you are. And if you can't be yourself in your own business, that's really sad. I mean, that's a pathetic individual if I ever saw one.
I like him. I'm not gonna say pathetic, but
I mean, his approach to business is pathetic. I mean, you cannot pander to people. That's weakness. If you believe in your product, if you believe in yourself, you believe in your product, you're going to come out here and just be you. I mean, when I come out here for SJS Direct books, like my own, like the John Haynes comic or the John Haynes Illuminati book or the SJS Direct 2024 catalog, I come to people as I am. I mean, this is the way I am every day. And people, they may not like the way I'm speaking right now, but this is who I am. And again, I don't want to change who I am to please other people, because when you do that, it just makes people feel that you're not genuine. You're not being honest with yourself. And if you're not honest with yourself, then you're not going to be a person who can be genuine. And again, when you internalize this stuff, it does real damage to you as related to your mental health, because it makes you feel sick on the inside when you're trying to be this fake person. I mean, I see people like this and they internalize all this stuff on the inside. It just makes people, you can no longer have that spark for what they love. And it just destroys them on the inside. And it's like killing yourself on the inside.
Right now, let me give a disclaimer. And I think I speak for Sean on this. We're not saying that we would not do business with white business or white people. We're not saying that. We're saying that we're not going to change who we are personally or professionally when doing business with people.
Yeah.
Period.
Because I do business with white people and non-black people all the time in selling SJS Direct books. Even the John Haynes comic, I had a lot of white customers pick up the John Haynes comic, and they respected who I was because I was comfortable being who I am, and I was being honest about who I am. I mean, that's the most important thing. I mean, that's all related to your integrity and your character, is being true to yourself. And if you can't be true to yourself, then life just really isn't worth living.
Exactly. That's the point to hammer home. What does code switching have to do with reparations? A lot of it. If we have reparations, once again, we would be able to have more black businesses. More black businesses means more commerce. More commerce means that we can have a black economy. All right. Asians have their own economy. Jewish people have their own economy. Nobody barks or whiffs at them at all. But when it comes to us darkies, why do you have to have a black-owned business? Why does it have to be black-owned? Why can't it just be a business? And why are you only looking to do business with other black people? Well, why not? Well, what's wrong with that? Why is it a problem?
Yeah.
When it comes to us, the stupid questions, the goofy comments are endless.
Yeah, let's talk. Hispanics have their own business. I lived in a Hispanic neighborhood for 30 years. Hispanics did business with Hispanics. I've seen Asian communities where Asians do business with Asians, and I've seen Hispanics basically shut down other businesses that come into the community. I remember living in a Hispanic neighborhood, and the Arabs tried to move in, and they shut the Arabs down completely. I mean, they tried to open up stores in Mauritania, and basically all those Arab stores had to go out of business. I mean, if group economics is a very powerful thing, it can basically lift an economy. And for the Hispanics that I lived in that neighborhood for 30 years, they took that economic power and they now own a lot of the political offices in those areas. And they don't really want to see black people having that power because it scares a lot of these people to see black people having that power because they need the black dollar to live off of because they take 97% of our dollars to live off of. And they need that to have their middle class and send their kids to private schools. And if we start taking our money and investing it in ourselves, they know they would be poorer. And they also know that they wouldn't be able to push their anti-black narratives out here.
That's why I'm a bit pessimistic when it comes to us receiving reparations, because we get reparations, it's not going to hurt the economy as a whole. It's going to hurt ethnic economies, and the status quo does not want that. The status quo needs us to be that permanent underclass that Dr. Claude Anderson has been talking about for the last what 40 years or so. So um so absolutely, this is something that they want. This is something that they want. When I mean they, I'm talking about the government, and also and also the oligarchs, the top 1% oligarchs, because that's going to take money in their minds. That's going to take monies away from them. So reparations, I'm telling you, it's not so much it's about money, but what money does is it opens the door for resources. Not all of us blacks are going to do right by the money, but it's not about that. It's about what's owed to us as a race of people. And so with that, uh, when a lot of code switching would die on the surface if we had our reparations, a lot of code switching would be done.
Yeah.
You could see lots of black people leaving these racist corporate 500, 1,000 companies to create and start mom and pop companies. And because of Nice Radio Productions, which is and you can go look at Nice Radio Productions on my website. I'm looking to do business with other black owned and operated companies because I have the services that would help them. I not only I can advertise them on my website, I can do I could do website advertising. I also can do commercials. I can produce commercials for those businesses, and it would be their commercial. And so I have a lot of resources that I can give to black owned and operated companies, advertising, and can do it at a reasonable price because with digital media is cheaper to produce.
Yeah, that's how I got most of my business done. And one of the things that Tariq makes, Tariq Vader McClimate makes a point. He says nowadays the rhetoric is that any black person was hired is because of DEI, and yeah, they try to run these narratives talking about diversity and inclusion. When in actuality, a lot of black people were there because they're just qualified and they're good at what they're doing. And when we have reparations, we won't have to deal with any of that nonsense about DEI or all this other stuff. You have qualified black people showing that they're good at what they do and showing other black people that they're good at what they do. And we can go out here and be able to build our own businesses without being stuck in a work environment that doesn't appreciate us and really doesn't want us there.
Exactly. Exactly. So I'm not going to change who I am so that I can get that person's business. Either you either you accept me the way I am, or we don't have to do business with one another. None at all. And I'll be fine. Because anyway, usually it takes usually 3 to 5 years before businesses start making profits within their business anyway. And so now that I've got Nice Radio Productions back up and running since last year, I'm in year 2. So I know that this is a marathon. This is not a sprint. And in out here in Phoenix, I have been doing a lot of networking with Black owned and operated businesses. And I've gotten emails like, Chris, can you advertise my product on your website? Um, can you produce commercials? Can you do a commercial and for my business? And I've said, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, I most certainly can. And so from there, they want to know numbers and how much I charge and for how long, and I give it all to them. I give it to them, and then hey, uh, you think about it, think what you can do, all right? Get back with me. Nothing's absolute. I'm willing to work with you and be flexible. I understand when it comes to economics, things are really rough out here. So I'm very reasonable. I'm very logical when I am interacting with other people that are looking to promote, advertise, and broadcast their business.
Yeah, I'm that way myself, and that's why whenever somebody invites me on a show, I'm glad to go do those shows, glad to make those appearances, and that's why I even sometimes try to go out here and promote other people's products, because I want to build a network and build relationships with, especially with Black-owned businesses, and I want to help other Black-owned businesses grow and develop. So that's another part of what this channel is all about. I try to not only just promote positive Black stories on the SJS Direct imprint, but I try to help out other Black-owned businesses as well.
Exactly. And so when I reached out to you and I told you what I do and everything, and showed you pretty much my business model, I I did it with professionalism and sincerity. And when I say, hey, this is my website, this is what I do, I broadcast out from my website, and for everybody to listen to me all over the world. You saw it for yourself.
Yeah,
I wasn't, I wasn't, I wasn't talking one thing and saying another. You actually seeing me um, get get involved, uh, whether I'm doing a video, whether I'm doing a video essay, whether I'm doing a commentary on my website. You've seen me work and work hard to really get nice radio network.com to a level of popularity where people can come there and like, wow, okay, oh man, I could make a blog. Oh shoot, okay, I can I can make comments on previous broadcasts and stuff like that. You know, adding more content, adding more content and things. I didn't put all that together to be something else. I didn't put all that together to be talking the way I am right now. And then when I get around some other people, I'm sounding like Pee Wee Herman.
yeah.
Absolutely not.
I
No,
mean,
no,
if
no,
you
no.
put all that work in, you want to be who you are, because that's what's selling you is who you are. You don't want to be turning into this guy who just sitting there and, oh, yeah, yeah, guys, I'm ready for some golfing. You don't want to be that guy.
Right, right. I don't do golf. I don't play golf, and I'm not going to start doing it just because, uh, you know, just because over a business deal. You know, uh, listen, I I'm not the norm, I guess, because well, what's wrong with golf? A lot of business deals have made over golf. I know a lot of people have been railroaded and laid off because a couple of bosses at their companies placed bets if they can hit a hole in one, and if the loser has to lay off a whole bunch of people. No more of us allowing white racist executives and bosses play God with black men and women's jobs.
I mean, that's the thing that turns me off about hearing that type of golf game and stuff. Is like, yeah, they just play God with black people's lives. And that's the whole thing about the code switching is basically you're turning these people into gods and you're living in fear of these people every day. And again, that wears down on you. You have to put on this face. You have to be scared. You have to be walking on eggshells. And the Most High did not make life for you to live like that. He wanted you to live an abundant life. He wanted you to live a blessed life. And he didn't, and that's not about living in fear. That's about living at being at peace with yourself. And people who live the code switching life, I mean, this is not a good life for you to live at all. I mean, you're walking on eggshells every day, worrying about whether this is going to be the last day for you at this job, or if you say the wrong thing, or if you do the wrong thing. I mean, it's like living in high school all over again. That's the way I always felt about it. It's like you have to be with something for the popular people, get their acceptance. It's like, no, when we move past that, adults don't do that kind of thing. That's what children do. And it basically infantilizes black people and puts them in the role of an adolescent child.
Exactly. And speaking of adolescent children, let's juxtapose over to Fannie Willis. Now, everybody that's been following the Fannie Willis fiasco, when you code switch, you end up like Fannie Willis. How many black people you think she stepped over or stepped on to get to where she's at?
She probably stepped on dozens of people.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. And now it's costing her. It's costing her bad. You know what makes it, and I know you got the videos. I would like for you to play them soon.
I'll play them right now.
No, not yet, not yet. Because I want to make a few points.
All right.
What was disgusting on what I saw today, Sean, was her father on the witness stand. That is the epitome of unaccountability. And to be so low and trifling of an individual that you're not even woman enough to face the music by yourself. You put your father into this. Okay, let's say that he did want to do it. She should have been woman enough to stop him from doing that.
Yeah.
This is something that she did, not him. And the fact that her father went to court, visualize this. I'm a man. I have a daughter who had sex with a married man, hired him, and paid him with taxpayer dollars. And now I'm going to go to court to what? Defend her? What's there to defend?
Nothing to defend at all. And it really makes him look weak because, again, your child is a reflection of you. And if your child is bringing you in to defend your ratchet behavior, it's embarrassing. I mean, what man of character is going to go there to his daughter stand to testify on her behalf of her committing adultery with a married man, allegedly misappropriating government funds, and just basically co-sign all that stuff? I mean, any man of character will be looking like, what kind of stuff is you getting into? And distance himself from his daughter, because that would be a shame to him. But sadly, this man, I think he's another beta male, just like the simp that she got involved with. And I'm seeing a pattern here, because again, women get involved with men just like their fathers. And it's looking to me like she got involved with a guy who's just like her father, a beta male, because only a beta male was going to go down there and testify on the behalf of his daughter as related to egregious behaviors like this.
Exactly. Let's say if this was my daughter, I'd be like, hell no, I'm not going down there. No, I'm not getting involved in this. And now he's put on the spot. And now what people are going to say about him? Now, before he runs around and talk about, I don't care what nobody think about me. Look what you just did, fool. You call yourself coming to the rescue for a female. Let's take the daughter out, father-daughter thing out of it. You took the time to come to the rescue for a female that carried herself less than a female. Morally, ethically, professionally, in all three areas, all three aspects. And you coming to save her? You are a goddamn fool. And here's the kicker. No real man who has a daughter would come to her aid for some crap like that.
Nope, you leave her out there.
Right. And then she's the typical, this is a case study. Fannie Willis is a case study of what me and Sean talk about when we do these barbecues. You know, independent, nobody pays my bills, blah, 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 blah. Did you know that she had a $44,000 tax thing against her taxes? Like, seriously? Huh?
She's a classic corporate American hood rat. She's a classic corporate American hood rat.
Yes. Yeah, but she's more focused on going to Napa Valley, going to Miami, taking cruises to the Bahamas. Like, your priorities are so fucked up that you're not mentally, socially, or professionally, or morally fit to be a district attorney. She has zero qualities. Then, before all of this crap came out, when Rayshard Brooks was murdered by that racist police officer in Atlanta Police Department, she brought in the what is that jury? They call it the grand jury. So she didn't have to get her hands dirty and then say, well, the grand jury found the cop not guilty, so I'm not going to pursue the cop. And she actually thought that was cute. She thought that it was no big deal. Fannie Willis is going down for karma because of what she didn't do to that police officer that shot Rayshard Brooks.
Yeah.
And that is going to be her downfall. That is her legacy. And guess what? Any man dumb enough to stick your hoo-ha between her legs, you may come out something worse than an STD. Your reputation.
I would say your reputation is destroyed if you get involved with her. I mean, this dude who got involved with her, he basically showed the world how much of a simp he was when he sat up on the stand for 15 seconds to answer a question. I just did a show at GBoot 2786 on that, and he showed me that clip. 15 seconds to answer whether or not he arranged the cabin. I mean, this is a yes or no question, and it's something that you just would answer easily. But this guy has no integrity. I mean, he's a basic textbook example of everything I talk about a Captain Save-'em in my book, Misadventures of Captain Save-'em. You can get that book on Amazon.com. And if you have Kindle Unlimited, you can get it for free. And in Misadventures of Captain Save-'em, I talk about these kind of guys. They basically are just, they have no confidence. I mean, for all of his education and professionalism, he had no confidence because he's basically scavenging the bottom of the barrel to find something in that skid mark jockey thong of Fannie Willis. I don't know what he was trying to find in there in that atomic waste reactor. I mean, he wanted to get his taste of the waste from the special place, and he basically sacrificed his intangibles of manhood, like his dignity, his self-respect, his self-worth, to get involved with this Fannie Willis. And this woman, again, she's reaping what she sowed to Rayshard Brooks, and she basically is showing us that she's a woman of really poor character. But that's par for the course for the corporate American hood rat, because these corporate American hood rats, these are women. Yes, they got educations. Yes, they got these so-called good jobs, but they are just women of horrible character, and they bring what they had in the streets to the corporate office, And the way that Fannie Willis was basically running the office, she was basically, again, she's a classic code switcher. She basically put on the friendly face for the white people, probably knocked the voice up a little octave like this. And then when she got with black people, was a neck rolling, eye snapping, bad attitude black woman. And we saw that on display as she was being put at in this whole case as related to this hearing. And her whole thing basically shows me a woman who's just a poor reflection of black people and as a collective. Because this is again corporate American hood rat. And she was basically just showing us the hood rat and how ghetto she was by the way she was basically running that whole DA's office. And the DA's office basically is just like Shaquita's place or Shaquita's
Right.
nail
Don't
salon
label
place.
her with all black people, but
I'm
she
saying all,
is but
I'm saying
code
that,
switchers. Yeah,
yeah,
black code switchers.
yeah,
She's is the tackiest. She
yeah.
no doubt about that.
She's the one who's like she turned the DA's office into Shaquita's nail salon.
Pretty much. Pretty much. Right? And so, her, Michelle Obama, these code switching hoochie mamas, they do they are no good to the black community, y'all. And they're nothing but they're skin folk, but they're definitely not kinfolk. And so, yeah, I want you to play the first video I sent you and check out the hypocrisy. The short one, the short
All right,
13-second one, yeah. Check out the hypocrisy that this broad Fannie Willis said.
all right. Getting ready to share it now.
That
1
won't have
second.
sex with his because they deserve a DA that won't have sex with his employees, because they deserve a DA that won't put money in their own pocket when it should go to benefit children, because we deserve better.
Those were her words, y'all.
Yep.
Those were her words. Yeah. See, you got to understand something. All right. Pookies, Ray Rays, Shaniquas, Beniquas, code switchers, they have no moral or ethical base. None. They'll do anything, say anything to get ahead. They're willing to sell their soul. They're willing to compromise their internal dignity and integrity to get ahead. And then, just like Professor Black Truth always says, when white supremacy is done with its tools, it breaks its tools. And Fannie Willis is the biggest, blackest, fattest tool that's going on today.
Yep. I mean, basically, she has evolved from being a code switcher to trying to be a bootleg. Because it's like code switcher, I see is like the low level of the bootleg. No, there's a workplace minstrel is the lowest level, and
Yes.
the mammy, and then there is the code switcher who's the next level, and then it evolves to that top level, which is the bootleg. So basically, she's one of these women who's a bootleg basically at this point, and she just is so caught up in herself she can't even see that she's basically compromised everything to be a part of white supremacy, and that's where a lot of people get it twisted on the videos I do about Fannie Willis. They're thinking that I'm defending this black woman. No, I was making a point about the bigger picture of this black woman and how she was basically used as a tool by these white supremacists who saw her coming and basically made a plan to deal with her. And that's what we see happening right now, because when it comes to the system of white supremacy, they play a game of chess, not checkers, and they know who they want to pick to be the players on their board. And these corporate American hood rats and these pookies like Fannie Willis and this lead prosecutor, they basically are pawns that they put on the board. And when people like Donald Trump see them, what they go is, okay, I see what's going on here. They're not coming to me with white people. They're coming to me with these black bootlicks. And if they're coming to me with these black bootlicks, these are pawns on the table. And that's why he wasn't so fazed about them, because he saw Fannie Willis and he knew, okay, if this woman got here, she did some dirt. And any guy would know that. They'll be like, okay, I know she did some dirt. That's why they dug it up on her. And that's why we see her coming out. And she basically played into their hands when they put her on the stand. And when she put him on the stand, she basically proved everything that they wanted to prove. And that's why I said they basically set her up for a failure, because she can't run for DA at this point. I mean, with all this stuff coming out about affairs and alleged misappropriated funds, and I say alleged because we only have the whistleblowers' statements and no real evidence behind it. But the whole thing is, this woman has basically shown that she has violated the trust of the people of the state of Georgia and the city of Atlanta. So this corporate American hood rat, she's thinking that she was going to rise with this, not understanding that she is so done that if they ran a red candidate, she would be out of office soon as possible.
Oh, definitely, most definitely. And and just think about this though. Think about this. What about all? What about these young girls? Maybe that she's leaving an impression on. How, it, she has no level of forward thinking that there are young girls out there, young black girls, impressionable that might have looked up to her, and they see this, and they should walk away looking. She's acting like a district attorney level of sexy red,
Yeah.
like you know. But remember, we black men always held accountable on how we're supposed to be an influence, a positive influence for young black boys. But you don't hear that about women like Fannie Willis being, her responsibility for being impressionable for young black girls.
Yeah,
The hypocrisy is stifling.
Yeah, because her example of black womanhood was embarrassing to watch. I mean, I've seen professional sisters out there who are on point, and they wouldn't have handled themselves that way. I mean, she basically turned that courtroom into a circus. And if we did have a Trump trial, she would basically turn it into something akin to the O.J. Simpson trial with the way she was behaving herself. It would be embarrassing to watch that whole trial in between Donald Trump's outburst and her outburst. I mean, this, excuse me, would embarrass the country and make the country look bad because people aren't looking at the optics of a Fannie Willis and her behavior. I mean, the optics not only go as related to black women as a collective, but the entire country as a collective. If this trial were to go on, and this woman basically has shown that she is not fit for office based on the just twisted behavior and dysfunctional behavior she presented to everyone.
Right. And then guess who else would get blamed? We black men would get
Yeah.
blamed for this too. Somehow, some way, we'll get blamed for it. Mainly Nathan Wade, because he's still thinking with his head between his legs.
Yeah.
That's what all those black guys are like. They're so hypersexual. They continue to think with their head between their legs. And this that's that's not true. That's not true.
Yeah, but that's the narrative they want to push on him, on Nathan Wade. He was just basically coming across like a Pookie. I mean, he was like Pookie as a lawyer, and it was sad to watch. I mean, any smart man, and again, I wrote about this in Stop Simping in the Workplace. The first rule you understand when you get on a job, especially if you're a heterosexual black man, is don't crap where you eat. That means don't get involved with the women at the job because that's the fastest way to get jammed up. But this simp, he basically gets involved with this woman at the job, and he not only gets himself jammed up, he gets jammed up to the point where he's caught up in the scandal. And once this is over and Fannie is out of a job, and she is going to be out of a job, this dude is basically going to be in a racing car in bed on his mama's house, or he's going to be at Fannie's house in a racing car bed.
Well, he might be able to escape the BS from this, because remember, she hired him, right?
Yeah.
So she hired him. Remember the proof. The proof lies on Fannie. She has, this is all about her. So he might be able to squeak out of this, but he's got and if he does, he got to get far away from her as possible, because his name is mud.
Yeah.
His name is absolute mud.
He comes across as real weak. I mean, you letting the woman run you. I mean, And I listened to her story talking about all this cash in the house. I'm like, what is this? What are you, a hood dude? New Jack
Right,
City?
right. Who are you, Nino Brown or some shit? I mean, come on.
Because people with legal money put it in a bank.
Right, right. Oh, I keep money around the house all the time. Oh, so you just keep $20,000-$30,000 of money in the house. Oh yeah, because my daddy taught me. Your daddy taught you that.
I don't know no
And
fathers who
then
did
and
that.
then and then and then because Fannie Willis, has, like most modern women that me and Sean talk about, has no sense of accountability, no integrity, no morals, no ethics. She literally dragged her own father into this mess. She has no shame. She has
No,
no shame. And she's no, listen, Fannie Willis is no different than the cheesecake broad.
nope. Same
She's
thing.
no different from the women that killed Shanquella Robinson down in Cabo. No different. They're birds of a feather flocking together.
Well, they're all that class of corporate American hood rat. I mean, we have a whole class of them. And the whole
She
thing is,
deserves, and if people say, well, Mr. Chris, you're being harsh. I'm not being harsh enough to this broad. I've spent the last 3 weeks on Chris and Company talking about Fanny the Floozy. Like, people don't understand the significance and the seriousness of this, right?
no, they don't.
Black women are always, not all. See, I can say not all. I just want people to respect that not all black men are A, B, or C. Anyway, you have black women that will go on TV talking about there's no good men and we don't get our time to shine. And then when they do, they fuck it up. They clearly fuck it up. Fannie Willis, on, you know how much power she had in the city of Atlanta to be a district attorney? Endless resources when it comes to her cases and everything. And she's firing whistleblowers.
She's firing people with ethics and character.
Right. Firing people with ethics and character. Firing that whistleblower, which was dumb and stupid.
Was looking out for her.
And exactly, looking out for her. And of all the men in Atlanta to sleep with, all the men that you could have got with, you messed around with a married man. I look better than that guy. But then again, she's something like her is beneath me. But yeah, but I mean, goodness gracious.
Yeah, she doesn't want good men because good men are going to hold her accountable.
Right. These women are so unaccountable. These modern women are so goddamn unaccountable. Everything they do exposes who they are. Don't believe me? Roll the second video that I showed. This woman breaks it down verbatim what is going on with this case.
Okay. Second, just got to find it. Okay. Here we go.
I'm not a lawyer, but that didn't stop me from reading through all of the available docs regarding Fannie Willis, her alleged boyfriend, his wife, and the Trump RICO case. Let me give you a recap about what's going on. Disclaimer that my goal is only to recap what is being alleged in the documents. I'm not saying it's true, and I'm not saying it's not true. So none of this is my opinion. It's what one person is claiming against another. You can make your own judgments or see how it all plays out in court. This is Fannie Willis. She is the Fulton County District Attorney, Fulton County in Atlanta, Georgia, and she is responsible for many of the high-profile cases that you hear coming out of Georgia. The YSL RICO case, Miss Fannie Willis. The YFN RICO case, Miss Fannie Willis. The Trump RICO case, Miss Fannie Willis. She's kind of a big deal. Well, meet Michael Roman. He was a Trump campaign aide, and he is one of the 19 defendants charged in that Trump RICO case. And last week, Michael Roman and his attorney filed a motion to dismiss the RICO case and to disqualify Fonnie Willis and her office from prosecuting the case. Because according to them, one of the special prosecutors that she hired to prosecute the RICO case is actually her boyfriend. And they said she ain't mentioned that part when she hired him. And they also say that this boyfriend of hers is underqualified, overpaid, and he's using the money that he gets for working on the case to go on trips with Willis. They also say that because Fonnie Willis never received approval to hire this guy, which they say is Georgia law, the indictments that he assisted in getting are effectively invalid and have to be thrown out. Okay, let's start with the first point. Is that her man? The motion says that while it's not clear when the relationship started, individuals familiar with the situation say that Fonnie Willis and the man, whose name is Nathan Wade, were romantically involved prior to her hiring him to work on this case. It says that the two have cohabitated together in some form or fashion, and that on November 2nd, 2021, which was one day after Nathan Wade officially started working on this case, he filed for divorce from his wife. Oh, did I mention that? He was married. His divorce is still not finalized, and the proceedings for that are sealed. You know I checked. But Nathan's ex has apparently provided bank statements recently that confirm that Nathan Wade has purchased tickets for both himself and Fonnie Willis to places like Napa Valley, the Caribbean, and to cruises, which only matters because this motion claims that if Nathan is getting paid for working on this case and then spending some of the money on Willis, that means she is directly benefiting from the prosecution of this case, which would be a violation of her oath of office. Okay, now let's get into underqualified but overpaid. The motion says that based on speaking with individuals familiar with Nathan Wade and additional research done by Michael's attorney, Nathan Wade has never prosecuted a single felony trial. They say in a district where there are a number of fully capable attorneys who have experiences in prosecuting RICO cases and at the very least criminal trials, Fonnie Willis chose to hire Nathan Wade, who has no experience in either. And according to them, she's paid him a total of $653,881 over the span of a little over 2 years. And for the sake of comparison, Fonnie Willis is paid $198,266 per year. Okay, now let's talk about this approval that they're saying she didn't get and why that's a problem. The motion says that in 2021, Fonnie Willis presented to the Board of Commissioners seeking to get additional money for her district to clear her backlog of cases. Some of it was just a backlog, some of it was from COVID, and she also said that crime was on the rise in the district and she needed resources to address it. So the Board of Commissioners approved that request and give her the funding. This matters because the motion says that that money that she got didn't go to COVID backlog. It instead has been used to pay Nathan Wade and prosecute this case, allegedly. The motion also notes that Fonnie presenting to the board in 2021 proves that she is aware of how to get approval from that board. But yet she chose not to get approval when it was time to hire Wade. And the motion says that she knew if she went to go get approval, they were going to ask her about her relationship with him and about his work experience. And she didn't want to answer that. The motion also says that prior to beginning work on this case, Nathan Wade never filed his oath of office. So according to Georgia law, he was never authorized to serve as a special prosecutor, which therefore means all of the work he's done, again, is invalid. So they say the indictment is void and that Fonnie and her office should be disqualified because of the conflict of interest on the case. Fonnie has until February 2nd to file a written response to this motion, and an actual hearing has been scheduled for February 15th to talk about it all. But one more thing, remember how I said the divorce between Nathan and his ex, whose name is Jocelyn Wade, is not final yet? Well, child, Jocelyn, through her attorneys, has now subpoenaed Fonnie Willis to be deposed regarding her relationship with Nathan Wade. Fonnie got the subpoena and responded asking that the judge grant a protective order, which would mean that Fonnie cannot be deposed in this divorce because according to her, there isn't anything that she can say that will change the outcome of this irretrievably broken marriage, especially considering that the marriage was over after, quote, Jocelyn confessed to having an adulterous relationship with Nathan's longtime friend. Child, this is messy. Fonnie says Jocelyn is doing this just to harass her and damage her professional reputation. A hearing has been set for January 31st in the divorce proceedings because now Jocelyn wants all the divorce docs to be unsealed so we all can see them. This video was long, but I want to play this clip of Fonnie Willis at church last Sunday, seemingly addressing some of these allegations.
Why does Commissioner Thorne and so many others question my decision in a special counsel? I appointed 3 special counsel, as is my right to do, paid them all the same hourly rate. I hired 1 white woman, I hired 1 white man, and I hired 1 black man. Isn't it them who's playing the race card when they only question 1?
Now, y'all know I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know if any of this will stand, but for the sake of optics, this don't look good.
Fair use. Fair use. Just making sure that everybody knows fair use.
Most absolutely is fair use. You know, she said in 6 minutes, what she said in 6 minutes and 45 seconds. Wow. Like really to the point.
Yeah.
And the mere fact that him talking about Nathan Wade, he soon as he got that money, he put in for the divorce. How convenient.
This is not an ethical woman.
No, not at all. Not even close to ethics. I don't even know. I don't think she could spell the word.
That might be above her grade level, even with all those degrees she got.
This is what happens when you go through life and people enable you for your bad behavior. People just look at you, oh, she's a woman, she don't have to, she don't need to get beat up anymore. No, that's not how life works.
She didn't have a real mama. I mean, true to the game moms would have shut her down.
You know what? I slightly disagree with that.
No, I've seen mothers.
I wouldn't be surprised if her mama she got this bad behavior, enabled behavior from her mom.
Her mother was probably a ratchet. I mean, I know, but I've known true to the game moms. They will see through these lying kind of girls, and they know how to deal with daughters, because fathers know how to deal with sons and mothers know how to deal with daughters. And when they see a ratchet like this, they try to shut that down. But her mother probably was a ratchet, and that's where she got it from.
Oh, absolutely. And then how many guys just went along with the okie doke with her?
Remember, she had a simp
that's just
in her
Fanny
father.
being Fanny.
She had a simp in her father and other simps enabling her. And what's happening with Fannie Willis, basically, it's a textbook example of what I talk about in the woman crisis as related to the karma that's coming to America, because America basically spoiled an entire 3 generations of girls with feminism, made them believe that they could do anything and not be held accountable for their behavior. And what we're seeing is we're starting to see America reap what it sows, because these males basically, they've spoiled these women to the point where they think they can do no wrong whatsoever. They act crazy, they wild out. And that's what we're seeing right now. And now a lot of these white men are seeing that they can't control these women, just like a lot of black men knew 30, 40 years ago. You just can't control them because of the simps spoiling them and the ratchet women teaching them dysfunction. And that's because these women were raised never to be held accountable, never raised to be held to a standard, never made to feel shame or embarrassment, because there was always somebody there to pick up behind them, whether it be a simp father or a ratchet woman who wants to create a covert contract so she can get away with her stuff, or these simps who want to get access to what's in the skid mark jockey thong and the atomic waste reactor. These women get spoiled to the point where they think that they basically are like gods walking the earth, and that's what enables their dysfunction. And what enables their dysfunction is that these women basically were just turned into these spoiled, rotten women. And that's what your modern woman really is. She's just a spoiled person who's used to getting her way with everyone. And when she can't get her way, she goes and finds somebody to give her what she wants, whether it's the courts, whether it's the police, whether it's somebody. And what happens is these women never learn accountability like women of other generations did, because in previous generations, these women have learned accountability because men put them in the face of consequences and let them deal with the consequences. But ever since these baby boomers came along and they became a part of the feminist movement, we just have spoiled the Western woman. And the Western woman is one of the worst women in the world, just so spoiled. And that's what we see with Fannie Willis. And we see it with her behavior all throughout, this whole case and the Trump case, and the way she just basically is running that DA's office. And the
Mhm.
way she's running that DA's office, it should be an embarrassment for everyone. But instead of holding her accountable, what we have are people, because they want to make political affiliations, they want to give her a pass, but there's no giving a pass to the egregious mishandling of this office.
Right. And 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 then, she never had the wherewithal to think, why are there people, why are my higher ups want me to take the time to go after Trump? Like, she didn't even have the wherewithal to even think that. She literally thought she was going to be the next Kamala Harris.
That's what she thought. She had stars in her eyes, and that's the way the corporate American hood rat is. She gets stars in her eyes, and she thinks she can put on this act and try to show how good she is as related to her job. Not understanding, and that's what I tried to make the point in many of my videos when I talked about Fannie Willis. She was basically being set up to be white supremacy's pawn, and a lot of people were thinking, "Oh, they were in their feelings talking about, oh, you're not holding Fannie. I'm holding Fannie Willis accountable, but I understand what was happening here with this woman." She basically thought, because she had been gassed up to believe by everybody that, oh, you're going to be the great next big Kamala Harris, you're not going to be the next big candidate, not understanding the white supremacists put you in this position because they're setting her up to be the punchline of a cruel joke, and setting her up because any critical thinker would say, why would they go to a black person to prosecute a former president when there are perfectly good white folks out here who they would love to have that job and they would want to be elevated by that position? Why are they coming to me and not going to one of those white people?
Exactly. Like, you can't see that there's something wrong with this. Maybe there's something afoot to this. Like, she she literally smelled her own farts and thought they didn't stink, Sean.
Yeah, that's what I've been seeing. I'm like, you don't see where this is going. It's like, I know if somebody's coming to a black man about doing something to a white person, yeah, ain't nothing getting done to that white person because that's not how this country runs.
Exactly. Exactly. And somebody had to know that this broad was so messy that because remember, she said it herself. Well, that this relationship has been going on for almost 2 years. All right. So basically, more than likely before the midterms, the 2022 midterms.
Yeah, that's a conflict of interest.
Right. Man, she was set up to fail and she's too dumb to see it.
Yeah, I had said that in multiple videos. I said that's why I talk about the subtle politics transpiring around you. This woman couldn't see that subtle politics. I mean, she has been set up to fail, and they do this to the code switchers all the time. I mean, they see these guys coming a mile away. They see them, and they basically are 7 steps ahead of these people. Even though they think they can adapt to the situation, they don't even understand the chess game, and they know they can get these people because they can get 7 steps ahead of them. They can play to their feelings. They can stroke their ego, tell them what they want to hear. And then, as they're telling them what they want to hear and stroking their ego, they basically wind up setting these people up to fail. Again, passively, they'll include them as black people, but aggressively, they're setting them up to fail so that they can say, oh, this is what happens when we hire a black person. And that's where the code switcher gets it all twisted. They don't understand. He's giving you that job so he can see you fail, so they can make sure they never hire another black person in that position.
Right. Or wait a minute. They're saying, like, and I think MSNBC and CBS. Well, if Fannie Willis is taking off the case, another DA is going to come in, and no DA is with a brain in their head is going to take
No, they're not going to touch
Trump
that
case.
case. They know that there's no time to even prepare that case.
Right.
So it takes
Be,
months and even years to prepare that case. And with an election going on, you don't really want these cases going on as Trump is on the campaign trail, because you're going to make him stronger with each attack.
exactly. Exactly. That is exactly what you're gonna do. And you're gonna look foolish. No,
Yep.
no DA that's going to get Fannie's position is going to go after Trump. No way. If they
Nope.
know what's best for them.
They're not even going to bother with him. They're like, look, we'll leave that to the feds. We're going to stay away from this.
Right. I mean, what I mean, imagine she's no different than a broad from the club calling herself going after the president of the United States the next day. Like, seriously? Then had the nerve to go to church. Go to church and start, I'm a victim of racism.
And
Okay. If you're a victim of racism, then what does that make Rayshard Brooks? What does that make Rayshard Brooks?
it's like she doesn't even know she's saying, she's just killing herself.
Right.
So you denied Rayshard Brooks his chance at justice, but then you want to make yourself a victim with the same cards. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. She's getting all of the smoke that she deserves.
Yeah.
Hell, and you know who's really pouring on her? Fox News. Fox News haven't had a story like this. I mean, you would have thought, listen, Laura Ingraham, Gutfeld, what else? Who else? Sean Hannity. You would have thought they just got laid. I mean, the way they're acting, this is like their Super Bowl, like their orgasmic Super Bowl that Fox News is going through right now. Listen, we all know what Fox News is, but they have been Fannie Willis 24/7, all Fannie all the time.
Yep. She's a disaster.
And you sisters out there, this is bad on y'all. Anybody who's coming to Fannie's rescue or agrees with Fannie in any way, shape, or form, you are the problem. You're absolutely the problem. She has nothing to stand on. Nothing. I'm not on trial. I'm not the one on trial. Those people over there, the Trump administration, they're the ones on trial. No, Fannie, you're on trial because this whole trial is about you now.
Yep. Because you were the one who created the case. Not understanding that they're going to question your character and your credibility as related to trying the case.
Now, the judge, the judge looked like he's dated a few black women, or he likes to date a black woman, because my God, he is capping for Fannie. Well, we need to move this along here. I mean, he's really milking it towards the Trump lawyers, where they're like, well, you got to move this along here. Okay, what's the question that you're getting at? What do you like? He's getting really short. I'm like, damn.
Well, he's getting short because he was with these Biden types, and these Biden types want to get Trump so badly, but they don't see how they're making their whole case a disaster.
The judge definitely is on Fannie's side, though.
Yeah.
Like, he's trying to do the best he can, but more and more evidence it's coming out.
Yeah.
It's coming out, and she doesn't understand the reality of her situation, Sean. She's going up against a former president of the United States that still has 5 times more resources than she does.
And a jury pool that's not really going to be sympathetic to her or her case. The more she talks, the more she alienates jurors.
Right. And 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 you would think that she would have made sure that her house was in order so that she wouldn't be uh that she wouldn't, the fingers pointing at her now.
Yeah.
But nope, she didn't do that.
I mean, you're a black woman about to prosecute a former president. Your credibility is falling apart as we speak. She didn't see the chess game. She doesn't see the board because again, the code switchers, a lot of them, again, they are bootlicks altogether. And again, bootlick is a very short-sighted individual from what I've seen. Many of these bootlicks do not think critically. They don't really look at the big picture. And all they do is they get in their feelings about somebody paying attention to them. And as they get in their feelings about people paying attention to them, they don't ask, why are these people paying attention to me? What do they want from me? And because they don't do that, they wind up in situations like Fannie Willis, where, yeah, she can try to take this case to trial if she does get that chance, but no jury is going to go along with her because they're going to look at her reputation and say, you can't trust this woman in anything that she says. Her office is dirty. And if she's got this case, she's got no credibility whatsoever.
No, zero credibility. What kind of credibility? Trump did make a joke. Well, I don't know if it was a joke coming from him, but he said something about this DA that's after me. She's been sleeping with drug dealers. Well, I mean, you know, it was hilarious, but now it's something to really think about, to really take it seriously, because once her credibility, her credibility is questioned, everything's on the table now. Have you slept with drug dealers? Have you been getting banged by gangbangers? Like, and I'm talking, if those are legitimate questions to ask Fannie at this point.
Yeah.
She is a delight on Fox News. They talk about her 24/7. And remember, Fox News haven't had a story like this in a long, long time. They tried it with Bill Cosby, it kind of faded. But this one, oh no, this is hot off the presses.
Well, she fits all their narratives about the neck rolling, big butt black woman with a bad attitude. I mean, she basically is basically filling these racist narratives and doing their job for them. She basically is telling the story that they want to hear and letting everybody know that this is the type of woman she is, and she's embarrassing herself. And just this, what's sad is that she's like many of the corporate American hood rats and these code switchers, very indignant about it. She just refuses to have any admission that I am making a fool out of myself here. I mean, you brought your father on the stand, made him look bad, made your family look bad. I mean, these are acts of desperation. I mean, people who have a case to defend themselves, they can come in with evidence and say, look, I've got this evidence here to show that I've got the accounting records, I've got the books, I've got everything to show that everything is on the up and up. But she just put on, if this is the case that she's going to put on to defend herself, I look at the case that she would put on to go on against Donald Trump, and that case would be laughable at best.
Well, laughable. She's helping Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Like, she's such a dingbat. She's such a retarded dingbat that she's actually helping Trump. This is making Trump stronger.
Yeah.
When you don't hold yourself accountable, what happens is a day of reckoning is going to happen where you are forced to be accountable. You're going to go up against a formidable opponent that is going to force you to see your flaws, your insecurities, all of your weaknesses. And since unaccountable people do not deal with those situations well, they don't look at their weaknesses. They don't look at shoring up their insecurities. That's the whole point of not being held accountable. That when that day of reckoning comes, they do not only they do a disservice and damage to themselves, but they do a damage and disservice to everyone in their inner circle.
Yeah.
Her father is going to be made a joke now. Nathan Wade, we're past. I mean, he's too easy to be making a joke of. I mean, he's a walking joke. Hold on, folks. He performed what I call retroactive prostitution. Now, in that 6-minute clip that Sean had played, where the young lady said that he was given over $600,000. Okay. He got the $600,000 and then spent that money on her, on trips, and clearly was blowing her back out.
Yep.
And now he has to distance himself from her so that his law firm doesn't get shut down. He could lose his bar license from this garbage.
Yep. He could lose it all.
And right. And you call Fannie Willis's vagina a nuclear waste reactor.
That's what it is.
He's got to be Wade has got to be looking. I got one question for Nathan Wade.
I wonder if his dick glows in the dark.
I like that. I might use that one. I just got one question for Nathan Wade. Is it worth it? Was it worth it? Yeah, was it worth it, Nathan? Was it worth it?
I think he wouldn't know how to answer that question because, again, he's still stuck in that Arrested Development. I mean, he's got the Pookie mindset. I mean, he's like Pookie. He's used to being under. I think he come from a single mother household because he's used to being under powerful women. Because a lot of these Pookie types, they like to be under these powerful women, submitting to them, and they don't know how to be their own man. That's what I get from Nathan Wade. He just doesn't know how to be his own man because no man will want to be in a situation with a woman on a job, one that he's dealing with on the job. Because I talk about that in Stop Simping in the Workplace. You're with this woman every day and she's in your face. I don't even want to be around no woman. I want that 8 hours at work or wherever I am to be away from her so she can miss me and she can have her own space. But this dude, he don't understand what he was doing. And again, just weak man. I mean, you at the job with the woman all day and not seeing that this is a weak position to be in. She's basically like his mama in some ways. And that's what a lot of these Pookies do. They go from their mama's house to their girlfriend's house. And this guy was doing the same thing at work. And I mean, it's not worth it at the end of the day because eventually either one of you is going to embarrass each other. Again, both of you are going to embarrass each other in most cases because she's embarrassing him right now because it's making him look like a weak man. And he's embarrassing himself because he basically looks like a punk to everybody now.
Yes. He's doing punk ass stuff. So he needs to be called out as such. And he has his law business, he has a partnership. What is his partner thinking hearing all of this?
He's like, I need to find another partner because this guy's making me look like a fool.
Yes. Yes. And remember, wait a minute now. Now, she's the same type of broad running to the church thinking as if she's the victim. She's the victim.
Like, how are you the victim when you're the one doing this to yourself?
Right. Somebody need to let Fannie know that she's a disgrace to the black community. I want to hear somebody say that about her. Well, I'll be the first tonight. Fannie Willis, you are a disgrace to this community. You really are. And if somebody has Fannie Willis's email address, please send her this link of this show. Please bring me that smoke, please. Please. Because where are the lies? Where are the lies being told? See, even black men don't get this. Look, OJ, hell, Clarence Thomas, even the bootleg like Clarence Thomas, he got raked over the coals. He barely became a Supreme Court justice.
He scraped by. He only got it by a couple of votes.
Yes, that's it.
I remember that time in '92. I learned from him, don't mess with the women at the job. Just
Yes.
keep your distance from women at the job, because you start to come up, they're going to want to flip you.
You can't listen. You can't go to work thinking with your penis.
No,
You can't.
especially if you're a heterosexual black man. There's a target on your back. People are waiting to come get you. So you cannot go in there thinking with your penis.
White guys can go to work and think with their penis and still have a job, but
Yeah.
we can't.
It's like I tell guys all the time, you have to look out for yourself on these jobs. You have to understand you're behind enemy lines. And that's what this guy, Nathan Wade, didn't understand. He didn't understand he's behind enemy lines.
Right. Exactly.
And you have no allies.
You have none. Nobody's coming to your rescue. Well, except for Fannie Willis's daddy.
Yeah.
But now he got to be careful where he shows his face.
Yep.
Because my thing is, well, hey man, why your daughter did not prosecute the police officer that shot Rashard Brooks? You got to ask her. No, well, you coming to her rescue on TV while she's in court. So it's a fair question. You stuck your nose in her business with this. Well, you're in all of her business now.
Yep. And you watched as another black man die, and you didn't speak to your daughter about that. You didn't think that could be you? You didn't think that could be you?
Like Z Ken said, this played out like some reality TV show. Ken, it's going to get worse.
Yep.
If Vince McMahon would love to be in hell. Wait a minute. You haven't even heard much about Vince McMahon. This story has taken up more news coverage than Vince McMahon. And Vince McMahon has been doing what he's been doing to women for decades. We're talking 30, 40 years of it. I mean, he's in the Bill Cosby division if you want to go with lineage of sexually harassing and sexually assaulting women. Nope, we ain't talking about that. Nope. We gotta talk about a woman who's named after an ass, Fanny.
And it's about
make sense.
And about to be ass out.
Totally ass out. There's no way she stays on to be district attorney.
Nope.
And I get she has another RICO case. What is with her in RICO cases? She's slapping RICO cases on everyone and everybody.
Well, she's trying to clout chase in the hopes of getting a higher office. This is what bootlicks do. What they do is they want to go out and make themselves into something bigger than what they that they are right now. So what she's looking to do is make herself and make her name on these RICO cases, and hoping that this will lead to somebody like Joe Biden, hopefully considering her for either a cabinet position, or she can run for a higher office like governor. But she's already shown us she's just not fit for the DA's office. I mean, if you're running the DA's office like a rib shack, then how can I trust you to run any other office? I mean, she basically turned the governor's office into a fish and chips or a chicken joint.
Right.
Probably be able to get a two-piece behind the State House.
Hell, the Turkey Leg Hut in Houston, Texas is more professional than this broad runs the district attorney's office.
I mean,
and the turkey, and I'm saying that because the Turkey Leg Hut, they don't tolerate hoochies and hoes coming in dressed any kind of way.
No,
And
they
they don't tolerate bad behavior when they come in and acting like ghetto, super ghetto gutter sluts into their establishment.
They have standards, and
Yes,
that's the sad part. She has no standard.
exactly. Two things can be true, folks. You can be a black man that professionally runs a business and still have standards. Yes, two things can be true. So once again, when it comes to code switching, this is why we need to get that punk ass bitch Biden out of office. All right, because Trump is not going to do shit for us, and we'll sit out this election. We'll sit out in 2028. We'll sit out in 2032 if need be. If need be, until there is a candidate that is looking to bring reparations, to make reparations happen for black people that are lineage, that have a lineage to the slavery South. And until then, we can sit on our hands.
Yeah, there's nothing in it for us. Nothing's on the table.
Mm-hmm. Now, there's some foolish Philip Scott. You guys go check him out. He does good work too. Philip Scott just did a commentary about there's a new the Democrats is doing some hip hop.
Yeah, I heard about that from Lisa Cabrera. I'm about to take that to the barbecue because that's just an insult.
Right. Like these guys don't get it. This is not the 70s and 80s and 90s anymore. Hell, 2000s.
I mean, hip hop task force. That's like you insult our intelligence.
Right. No more of that bullshit. Come to us just like you come to every other ethnic group and sit down and talk to us directly on what policies you have for black people, not black and brown, black people.
Yep.
What are you going to do for black people? What policies and issues that you are going to advocate for us collectively for in exchange for us voting for you? Period. And so until then, you can bring out Jay-Z, you can bring out Killer Mike, you can bring out Code Red, Sexy Red, Red Hair, Red, whoever, and you're going to be dismissed. Now we're going to vote for you even less.
Because you bring nothing to the table. I have no time for entertainers. It's like
exactly.
Entertainers are a distraction.
Exactly. And that's the problem, right?
Yep.
That's the problem, right? Fannie Willis has been nothing but entertaining.
Yep.
Unfortunately, her morals and her ethics, everything that she did is so heinous, so egregious that it's turned into a George Burns Fox News comedy show on Fox News for 24 hours.
Yep.
But remember now, this is a bad look for black men and black people, blah, blah, blah. Well, put that energy with Fannie Willis and Nathan Wade too.
That's where it belongs.
They're bringing down the black community. Had Fannie would have been herself, stopped code switching and held herself accountable, she wouldn't be in the situation that she's in. Had Nathan Wade had been thinking with his brain and not his penis, he wouldn't be in the situation that he's in. And these are so-called professionals My pubic hairs have more profession than both of them put together. Yeah. And so, that's where, that's the reality of the situation. Now I got to go in next week when I do Chris and Company. That's every Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 noon Pacific on the West Coast. I got to go in to doing when I do Chris and Company next week. I got to bring up this sorry fat bitch again. Because she's in the news. She's in the news cycle.
Yep.
And wait a minute. She was supposed to be doing this for Biden and the Democrats and the liberals. And they're not even coming to her rescue at all.
They never do. Like I said, the crash test, like Professor Black Truth says, crash test dummy. She's a political crash test dummy. They just set her up to take the hit.
Exactly. Set her up to take the hit, and now her whole career is going to shit.
Yep.
You like how I make that rhyme? See, that's hip hop. Now, yeah, add that to the hip hop voting going to the polls. That is so stupid. Real quick. So, explain to people, Sean, about this whole thing about hip hop. Now the Democrats are trying to get black folks to hip hop to the polls.
Yeah, what they're trying to do with this whole hip hop task force is trying to show how hip and cool the Democrats are, and saying this is Jamal Bowman, the guy who pulled the fire alarm, coming up with this crap, and he's like trying to say, "Oh, I'm trying to fight for these rappers to get their money and their tangibles," but that really doesn't relate to the regular person. And it doesn't relate to anything. And it just basically is another empty symbolic gesture, because we know that a lot of these rappers are nothing but bootlicks anyway. So you're not helping the average everyday black man and black woman out here. You're just going out here putting on a show to make it look like you're doing something when you're doing absolutely nothing at all for anyone.
Right. So it's basically take your booty to the polls.
Yeah.
But now it's going to be instead of stripper whores, now it's going to be rappers.
Yeah, because Joe Biden's plan, he was going to bring these celebrities out. Oh, these Negroes, they love them rappers. And it's like, you're disrespecting black people. You're saying that we're so stupid that all we want to, well, if we bring out some rappers and we talk about helping the rappers get some money for their music, which really doesn't help the average everyday black person these days, because we don't deal with record companies anymore. I mean, most people who are really in this thing, they go on to Spotify, they're going to other places, they're making their own albums and stuff. So this whole thing is not about bringing tangibles to us. It's another empty symbolic gesture to make it look like you're doing something for black people when you're actually doing nothing at all. And it's just, again, passively, oh, we're looking like we're fighting for black people, but aggressively. It's not about giving us anything tangible at all, like that anti-black hate crime bill, which we desperately need. Police issue dealing with these rogue police officers by getting rid of qualified immunity and getting us real tangibles like reparations. I mean, this puts no money in a regular person's pocket. I mean, you're fighting against this whole system. Again, when it comes to these entertainment businesses, they usually give you these contracts with the royalties and everything. And if you agree to that, that's on you. But this doesn't do anything for us. We don't need a hip hop task force. I mean, hip hop, yeah, it's nice, but that's its own business and it's filled with a lot of bootlicks. But what does this do for the average everyday black man? That's what I'd like to ask Jamal Bowman, who came up with this plan. But I guess if I asked him that question, he'd go run and pull another fire alarm.
Pretty much. I need a distraction. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's how pathetic they are. Like, we're laughing about these people, but laughing about these people prove our point that they're useless.
Yeah.
They're useless eunuchs of politicians.
Yep.
And so I wish I could add it to to the StreamYard thing, but I made a picture of Fannie Willis and I swiped her face out with Janice, Janice of the Muppets, because that's what she looked like. You know, the big the big ghetto eyebrows, the big ghetto eyebrows, the attitude, you know, finger pointing, twerking her neck as if like it is like how dare you question me type of attitude. And I mean
Yep.
you know, this it, you you this is bad.
Yep.
This, the Pookie and Ray Ray in the hood doing things to other black folks, that they're bad. But this is worse
Yep.
because you are in a public position. You are trusted by the public of Atlanta to do an open and honest job. And she fucked that up.
Yeah.
And it did it with what she had just became a district attorney, less than 2 years? Like it's shameful.
It is.
It's very shameful, and it's very disgusting. And unfortunately, I go into another Wednesday talking about this broad again. Like, she's so tacky that I don't want to talk about it, but I have to, because she's making the news rounds and there's more shit coming out.
Yeah.
So it's her daddy today. Who else is going to who else she's going to throw up on the stand?
Who else is she going to throw up under the bus?
You know what? There is a way she can there's no way she can redeem herself completely. But what if she comes out and says Biden made her do this?
That would be the thing. But if she did that, they would get rid of her.
She's already gone, Sean.
Yeah. I'm talking about gone like flaming car or something like. They're not going to let her talk about Biden with him already being jammed up too bad.
Yeah. I'm gonna just say this. I'm gonna ride out here. I want everybody who's listening to the Friday Night Barbecue that Fannie Willis is a case study. This is what you end up like when this is what happens when modern women never get checked on their attitude, their behavior, never get held accountable for their actions. You end up like this. Yep. And when you want to be Miss Independent and I don't need nothing from a man, yet and still she needed her daddy. This is what ends up happening. This is why men are getting their passports. Now I know that you're not a passport brother fan, Sean. I know that. But this is why brothers are getting their passports. At least they can say, man, I'm tired of coming across meeting women like Fannie Willis. And I'd rather go meet a woman outside this country that holds herself accountable and carries herself with respect and has a good reputation and don't have a whole lot of baggage. No. And her kids, right? Because I think she has some kids, right? I think a daughter or son or something like that. But they're going to be ridiculed.
They got to be looking at her with a side
when these
eye.
modern women are not held accountable, and when they have their day of reckoning, they end up destroying themselves and everybody in that inner circle that relies and depends on them.
Yep, because they prove that they're a woman that cannot be trusted, who has no character. She's not anybody you would want around you, and just shows it with her actions that you cannot be with this person because they will stab you in the back, or they will just do some dirt.
Right. That's all I've got to say about that, because unfortunately I've got to save I've got to save some
Yeah.
news about this coming Wednesday.
All right. Well, that's what happens when you code switch. I mean, she's like the textbook example of what happens when you code switch. And what code switches, again, they evolve into bootlicks. And what happens with bootlicks, again, like Professor Black Truth has always said, bootlick is a job without a retirement plan. And usually the final fate of a bootlick after they've thrown everybody under the bus is they wind up getting pushed under the bus themselves. And what really is sad about them is that they wind up the ones the most ass out at the end of the day. Because even if after they lose their job, they lose the trust of the black community, they lose the trust of the black family. Nobody wants anything to do with them, and nobody wants anything to do with them because of the content of their character, not the color of their skin. It's the content of their character and how dirty their character is that winds up driving people away from them. And that's what makes people not want to deal with the code switcher. And again, most black people who are have of character, they realize they can't do this and they can't really stay in this job market. They try to make plans to exit that job market. And they make plans to exit because you don't want to compromise your integrity and your dignity and even your intangibles of manhood and womanhood and even your mental health. You don't want to compromise any of those things or wind up with your mental health being deteriorated to the point because, again, holding all that in, holding yourself in, not being yourself, that just does so much damage to you. And I know from personal experience, I mean, dealing with these code switchers, which are basically they evolve into bootlicks, it's just not good for you long term.
Exactly. Um, Angela Montgomery said that Willis's ex best friend testified, proved that she is shady.
Yep. I can believe her because there's more people looking to testify against her. And again, you have to be shady for people to come out against you like that. And she's basically proving their point. That's the sad part about the whole thing.
Sean, this is, scumbags like Fanny are the bigger problems in the black community. See, the Pookies and Ray Rays, when they do trouble in the hood, right? They get dealt with, right? They get
Yeah.
caught by the cops. They get sent to prison for 25, 50 years, But these coach switching demons like Fannie Willis, they they talk about being for the community. That's their front
Yep.
until they get in the office and then they abuse their power
Yeah.
and disrespects the very same people that got her there.
Yep.
Barack Obama did kind of the same thing, but that's that. But I digress. And then when they get caught, when she gets caught up in her bullshit, then now she screams racism. There's no racism here. There's no,
Nope.
there's no. Even if Nathan Wade was a white guy, it still would have been a problem.
Yeah.
So no, Fanny, you're going to eat this.
Yep.
You're going to eat this shit sandwich that's being thrown at you. And guess what? Thank you very much, because now you've made Donald Trump even more of a martyr.
Yeah. I mean, she made a deal with the devil and now she's being burned by it.
Exactly. Hey, Biden and all of the Biden administrators where y'all at right now? Y'all ain't gonna help y'all girl out?
Nope, that's not what they do for bootlicks. They sacrifice them. And I said that was going to happen not only to this Fannie Willis, but Alvin Bragg here in New York and Letitia James. They're all celebrating what they got, this $365 million judgment against Donald Trump. But they don't see that once they get the bootlick to do the dirty work, eventually they get ready to break that toy. And Letitia James is it's like it's coming.
And what's also coming? So Alvin Bragg, DA in New York, you're next.
Yep.
You heard it from us first. Alvin Bragg, if I were you, I would do like P. Diddy and might disappear for a while.
Yeah, but they already are targeting him right now after giving these migrants who assault police officers with $1 bail and giving them free bail. I mean, he doesn't see that he's about to be on his way out.
And also Chicago, the mayor in Chicago, yeah, you're next too. You're going to be tossed out on your ass.
Yep. Well,
So
books don't see where they're going. But that's what I wanted everybody to know tonight. That's why I had Mr. Chris on as my guest. And I'm going to get ready to wrap up tonight's stream. But before I wrap up tonight's stream, asking everybody to just head over to the Cash App and drop $1 over there, because having a slow month as related to book sales, and with it being Black History Month and the month, we're having it real slow. I'm asking everybody to go to drop $1 in the Cash App or so, or pick up one of the SJS Direct books on Amazon.com, because that helps me stay on the air. Want to thank Mr. Unique for the super chat. Really appreciate it. And I'm thanking everybody for coming out tonight. And I hope you'll be here for next week's stream. Everybody have a good evening, and everybody have a good night.
good night, folks.
Night.